Hello and welcome to the Vinyl Vault. We are doing a special emergency podcast, as it says in the bottom.
Yeah, I wish this was better circumstances.
Yes, unfortunately, yesterday we all heard the devastating news that heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne passed away, and we decided that we had to jump on and talk about the legend himself.
Yeah, we are actually undergoing some renovations in terms of this show. And so wanted to explain that as to why we didn't have an episode last week. I know a lot of you guys were just edge of your seat waiting for Michael McDonald reviews to come in. That is it's like that one Disney song. It's just around the river bend, and we will get to it, but I would argue Ozzy Osbourne's influence on music as a whole much greater than Michael. Not that it's a comparison, but we couldn't let this news go by without doing something. And let's see, I'm 29, and so obviously I wasn't around for a lot of Ozzy Osbourne's music in his prime or Black Sabbath. I think my first official introduction to Ozzy Osbourne was Little Nicky, if anybody remembers
Nice.
that Adam Sandler film, which obviously they recreated the bat thing. Tony, I imagine your experience with Ozzy is a lot deeper than mine.
Ever so slightly. I listened to the music. I remember hearing Iron Man, not knowing that it was him, and really getting the name drop when NIB came out. That was the first song that I heard, and was like, "Who is this?" So that was my first exposure. And honestly, he's one of those artists that you just know the voice. You hear it, and what's cool about Ozzy's music in whichever band he's in is like, as a guitarist, like it's so cool listening to like the different riffs of his music, and the vocal melodies he comes up with, and of course the subject matters of what he likes to sing about.
Yeah, just full disclaimer: we're not saying that we're not. We have listened to this music pretty extensively throughout our lives. Probably not as much as the most diehard fans. I don't want people to think that I only saw him in a movie from like 2003 and was like, let's talk about him. Because we have declared this as an emergency podcast, we don't have as many bells and whistles on the production, but we do have the element of surprise. We have not seen each other's lists. We concocted these last night, and so not promising any fireworks, but I imagine we have differences in opinions just because you've seen this in our previous episodes, how we'd have different music tastes.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't surprise you if we have different takes on the same artist in terms of their songs. But I do want to do the top 10 differently. I kind of want us to unveil them each.
Sure.
So like I would do my, number 10, then you number 10, then you number 9, then I number 9.
Show me what you got.
So starting with top 10 for Ozzy, at number 10, I have Hellraiser. I was listening to that one the other day, and for people that may not have heard it, it features Motorhead. And what's interesting is that it doesn't sound like an Ozzy song or a Motorhead song. I was listening to it, and for those who are not familiar with Apple Music, when you get done listening to an album or a podcast, it will just start playing music that is similar to the music you were just listening to. And whenever this song came on, I thought I had run out of music, and I thought I'd started playing a Motley Crue song. Because it sounded very Motley Crue-ish with like that 80s hair metal, but then you have these two iconic voices, singing about raising hell. There is a music video for it. I was watching it last night for the 30th anniversary edition. I mean, it's just animated. They didn't obviously cast anybody in it, but I like that song. It's kind of a fresh take on some of the music that he's done, and I felt it was important to have at least one collaboration in this list. Because, I mean, Ozzy wasn't a stranger to collaborations. But, yeah, that's my number 10 is Hellraiser.
Mine is Mama, Mama, I'm coming home.
Did we just do something?
Whoa.
It was really good, too. It was really tight.
That song, I feel, though gets played quite a bit, it is one of the more earworms that, regardless of me listening to so much Ozzy yesterday, randomly I'll just keep hearing the chorus of that song. And it's and coincidentally also written by Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead.
I'm not surprised that you have one of the slower songs as your least favorite.
And you're absolutely right that that is an astute observation
80
that
beats
you've
per
made.
minute. Get it out of here.
No,
I don't want that slow stuff.
In a top 10, I at least got to put in one ballad, and that's exactly what I did. That's foreshadowing of what's to come.
You're gonna hate mine.
Yeah. So that's my number 10. I'll go to number 9 and start this time.
Yep.
For Mr. Crowley.
Oh.
Yeah. Mr. Crowley. It's just a cool sounding song. Again, the use of these dissonant notes melodically is again just such a signature sound for heavy metal.
Yeah.
And Crowley is just a cool sounding song.
I thought you were gonna have that so much higher.
I again considered it, but upon all the other songs and everything like that, that wasn't the case. And again, that's also a slower, heavier song.
Yeah.
So maybe that still fits the whole tempo.
You just hate music that's not double time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay. The faster you admit it, the
case.
faster we can get you treatment.
Yeah.
Well, number 9. I've got "Bark at the Moon." That's one of those songs where I respect it. There's a reason it's at number 9. It's not my go-to. If it's on the playlist, I'll listen to it. But you'll never see me get into a car and be like, "Hey, turn on Bark at the Moon." I'm not. And also, I don't know. I like the song. It's not one of those ones where it's not my go-to. It's almost like a legacy pick, if that makes sense. Like it has to be on the top 10, but it doesn't have to be in my top 5. I'll put it that way. So I've got "Bark at the Moon" at number 9. And then going back to what you had at 10, at 8, I have "Mama, I'm Coming Home."
Yeah.
And I like that song because it's a ballad. I think any chance you can, as a man referred to as the Prince of Darkness, I think if you have the chance to open up and be vulnerable about how you feel about things, I feel like that just adds another layer to your what is the phrase the kids are using? Aura. I like that song. It feels like it should be in like every good movie where somebody's reuniting with like their family or something like that. I don't know if this came around the same time as Home Sweet Home, but I feel like, whenever movies would come out and you would see like Olympus Has Fallen and then White House Down came out in the same week. And you're like, aren't these the same movie?
Right.
That's kind of how it is for me with Home Sweet Home and Mama, I'm Coming Home. It's it's a slow ballad about returning to your roots. But I think his voice being as iconic as it is, I think really takes it over the top. But that is my number 8.
Okay. Well, my number 8 was "Bark at the Moon." And to be honest, it was a sort of a mix of like, all right, do I put Crowley here or does "Bark at the Moon" top it? And again, Maybe it is a tempo thing. But for me, in my experience with Bark of the Moon, I remember seeing the video and thinking it was so over the top, and this Ozzy guy, doing, dressed or as the werewolf and everything. It also reminded me of Thriller, the Thriller video rather, of one being a wolf and Michael Jackson looked more like a werecat. But anyway, that's just what sticks in my mind. And so werecat, like if you really, when you look at it, it doesn't have enough of a snout, I guess. So it's a werecat. And if we ever do Thriller, we're going to talk about this werecat.
We're going to dedicate 4 hours to the makeup and design of the werecat.
Yes. So yeah. Bark of the Moon.
So
cool.
we seem to have similar opinions. It's just the placement seems to be different.
My next one, which is sixth? Seventh. Is
skipping here.
Flying High Again.
Oh no.
I take it that's pretty high for you.
I just don't know why it would be so low on yours. Not even top 5.
No, I enjoy it, but.
It's like classic rock.
It is. I think there's better versions of it on that album and just in general. I see what you're saying, but I that's a hard 6. That's my stance on it.
It's one of those songs where you'll see my list. You'll understand how I feel about it.
Okay.
Well, number 7 for me was Mr. Crowley. I like that song. I like the Mr. Crowley.
Exactly right.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Copyright this. I like the story. I like the intro. It's one of those songs where I'm normally not a fan of long intros, but it almost kind of reminds me of like a Dr. Frankenstein prepping for, to flip the switch. And then, the switch is flipped and then it's this ode to Mr. Crowley. But I like that song. I like the song. I like the musicality of it. It's a great one. Definitely deserves to be in the top 7.
If I could, I'd like to say a quote, read a quote rather, from Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath, the bassist, in which he...
his name is Geezer?
Geezer Butler, yeah.
And that's his government name.
That is his government name. He's the writer of Black Sabbath on music, lyrics, all of that stuff. But in terms of why or a reasoning behind the name Black Sabbath, he wanted. They were called several names, but started off with Rare Breed. But when they switched to Black Sabbath, he did an interview and said, if people paid money to feel scared at the movies, then the same must be true of concerts. And so integrating horror and the occult and things that are generally seen as scary, using tritones, notes that are infamous for being associated with the devil and what have you, was very much a part of just what these guys were all about. So yeah, when you're talking about Crowley's intro and everything of the Frankenstein or maybe like a Phantom of the Opera-esque intro, like it's still prevalent as Ozzy continues.
And then going into my top 6, number 6, I've got No More Tears. I feel like No More Tears is a great spot at number 6 because it's kind of like that. You could tell that music was starting to transition to that still rock, but pop. Really good use of the synthesizers as the background. It's got a great bass line. I like the way it's structured with short lines in the verses, and then it's immediately met with like hard riffs. And it's got a very catchy chorus. You just say "No more tears." So
yeah, okay. I do have No More Tears in my list, but it's a little bit higher. What I do have at 6 is Crazy Train. Crazy Train is pretty much what I was talking about in terms of overplayed and it hurt it in terms of my ranking list.
Yeah, you're not going to get any flack from me on that one.
Okay.
You'll see why.
Okay.
But I do agree with you to an extent as to why it's not number one. A lot of people are going to just see Ozzy lists and just assume Crazy Train is number one. Not here, folks.
No,
not here.
Okay.
Not either of our
spoiler.
lists.
Yeah, it's not. We're a little bit deeper, slightly deeper into Ozzy's lore.
Listen to the music.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Randy Rhoads' guitar work is fantastic in it. I mean, that riff is one of the very first that I learned and wanted to learn because it was so cool. And it will always be very, very memorable. And honestly, probably, if not going through personal things like being overplayed and what have you, probably ranks higher. But
it doesn't help that it's played at every sporting event ever.
Yeah, it takes away from that. But that also shows just how great of a song it is and how people, relate to it. And my number 5, now that we're in the top 5, don't ask me. I don't know. No. I don't know.
I was gonna say, isn't that just I don't know? I was like, was there a longer title? I wasn't. Wasn't.
I was gonna sing it again, but I was like, no, there's no harmonies in that part.
No,
I don't know. Is my number 5?
Yeah, I had that. I had that one in my top 10. I booted it out this morning.
Oh, really?
Not even top 10.
Not even top 10. Okay.
But you go ahead and give me your case, and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
From right off the bat, again, it's a faster song, so that might be where I'm leaning towards. Just the riffs, it just has everything that I want in a song, and a catchy chorus. You know where it's going to go, and yeah, I think it's just a very, very quintessential Ozzy song.
Yeah, it's not a good song. I mean, is it listenable? Is that a word? Do we care anymore? It's just, I mean, I listened to it last night because I was going to give it its fair shake. I was going to give it its fair day in court. Mm-hmm. And I listened to it and I put it at number 10. And then I woke up this morning and I said, wait a minute, I don't have Mama, I'm Coming Home on this list. And that one needs to be on this list. And so I looked at my list here and I looked at it. I looked at this list, this beautiful list. And I was like, one of you has to go. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I don't know. Yeah. It has to. So it got booted out of my list. And
well, you're wrong, but okay.
It is what it is. So we're at 5? Yeah, we're at 5.
That was 5, yeah.
5. So I went newer Ozzy on number 5. I have I Don't Want to Stop. Oh. I love this resurgence of Ozzy Osbourne. I think this album came out. It was definitely in the 2000s. And it has this hard driving chorus. And it's something like All My Life, and Go to the Top, something I Don't Want to Stop. And it's a great song that it's actually in my workout playlist when I used to work out. I currently don't have the playlist in my phone for personal reasons. Okay. Cheeseburgers are too good. But it's definitely a great song if you want to feel that driving kick drum, that adrenaline, that high stakes. You can definitely tell there's a little bit of an I don't want to say auto-tune or voice box on Ozzy when he's singing it. I mean, he's older. It's not the end of the world, but it kind of adds a new level to that sound. And it kind of, even though it was a 21st century Ozzy song, it kind of took me right back to like that 70s, early 80s Ozzy. But okay, that's my number 5. Now, number 4 is where I have Crazy Train. And I had weighed this. I had told myself, I said, Parker, this is not going to be your number 1. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why. It is overplayed. It has a great riff. It has a great guitar solo. But between the opening riff and the guitar solo, it doesn't do much for me. It's got, I believe, basic lyrics. It's got, a basic, structure of a song. There's no big build in. There's no big, outro. There's no, and I feel like the most iconic part about it is the first 20 seconds. Because once you get into the dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 I'm just like, okay, this kind of just sounds like a basic rock song. Whereas like the beginning, I was like, what? Like now you got my attention. And then Randy Rhoads' guitar work. I think if we ever have to do a Mount Rushmore of guitar solos, I feel like that has to be in the conversation, if not guaranteed a spot already.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's overplayed. I respect the cultural impact of it. That's why it's number 4 for me. But I know a lot of people are going to immediately just be like, oh, Ozzy, Crazy Train, like that's his best song. But have you ever actually listened to Ozzy Osbourne? That's my question.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like post that first riff and as it goes into the verse, that's typically when I skip. Is at least until he says crazy, and then I'll hit it. Because the verse is it's just not as interesting, I suppose. As the actual riff or like towards the solo. And again, it just depends on when I'll skip in that song. All right, my number 4 is Diary of a Madman.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, Diary of a Madman has again the real like horror themed sound. It's like the guitar work is real mysterious and eerie sounding, and it's one of those songs, and I really like this about music when it can do it, is when the lyrics and the music sounds like the subject matter. So if the title is Diary of a Madman, what does that sound like? Well, it sounds like that song. It sounds like the instruments are sounding like it's eerie and it's just slightly off. And then the lyrics are, telling you the insanity that a person is going through. And at the time, Ozzy's many nicknames, he was known as, the Madman. So
why? What happened?
He did this and that and bit a bat and that rhymed, don't you know?
MC Dr. Seuss over here.
Yeah. And actually he described tasting, people ask, what did the bat taste like? And he described it as like my mother-in-law's cooking.
Oh my God. I get, okay. Here's where my bus stops. I get the shock and awe of biting a bat's head off in front of a live crowd. Mm-hmm. I'll rephrase that.
Do you?
I understand.
Are we going to see that in the next report?
No, I didn't say I would do it.
Okay.
I'm just saying I understand why somebody in the 70s who was probably on what I can only assume is a Molotov cocktail of non-prescribed medicine. Mm-hmm. I can understand why they would do that, but I wouldn't taste it. If that makes sense. I feel like if you taste something, you're committing to the bit versus just take it from a fat guy. There is a difference between tasting and eating, and I think, or I'm sorry, tasting and biting. I'll put it that way. And
well, here's the thing: he just bit, and he also thought it was a toy. As things get thrown on stage, when you're on stage, more famously, it's underwear, but occasionally you'll get, bottles.
The bat.
And in this case, it was a bat. Ozzy says that he legit thought it was just a toy because he picked it up and it wasn't moving or anything like that. So, out of the excitement or whatever it was, he bit it and didn't realize that it was going to be, juicy. So after that, I mean, he had to be tested for rabies, the whole spiel.
Hey, how was your show? Anybody throw anything interesting on the stage tonight?
Well, see, that would end up being a huge hassle for him because that was such an infamous moment in history that throughout his concerts, people would throw live animals at him to just see if he would do it again. And he ended up biting a dove's head.
There's video of this, right?
Well,
Not that people should seek it out.
Pictures. I've only seen photos. And
so we've got photos of that, but not Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point basketball game. Sorry, that's a deep cut
it's
from my
priorities.
social circle.
It's priorities. Over the Mountain is my number 3.
Also, never heard of that song. And that's okay, folks. That's okay. I listen to like actual music.
I mean, I don't know how you don't know it. It is one of the bigger hits. Over the Mountain. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Would be my number 3.
Is my number 3. It's just, to me,
That
better
one-
versions of the styles of previous songs that I've put in this ranking. And it's not, to me, not overplayed. And I find myself, anytime that it is on the radio, I'm listening to the whole thing. As it does give me everything that I want in a heavy metal song.
So, complete departure from that train station. Number 3, I've got Changes. And I know that that's somewhat of a Sabbath song as well. The music video I watched last night for it just said Ozzy. So it counts.
Go ahead.
And I absolutely love that song. It might be one of the simplest songs in Ozzy's catalog. But it's very impactful because the message is so relatable. You know, not everybody is a madman writing a diary. But everybody goes through changes. In fact, you could say culturally in this music sphere, everyone's going through one right now because we've officially lived in 2 timelines. When Ozzy was alive and now when Ozzy's not.
Yeah.
And so obviously that song was written about life. That song was written about love. It's a great song. It's simple, but it's what makes the song so good to me is the fact that even though it is simple, Ozzy's tone and his voice, it really cuts through, and it almost has this like haunting echo of like, I'm going through changes and like I'm dealing with things, and I can't think of anything. I can't think of any person out there that's not dealing with things.
Yeah.
If I had to recommend any of these 30 songs that we have put on these lists for anybody to listen to, I would recommend that they listen to Changes at least once. That leads me to number 2. This is where I have Flying High again. I feel like this is, and it's actually kind of worrying me. I feel like we both have the same number 1 because you haven't said my number 1 yet, and you've only got 2 left. So either you've left it off the list. Anyway, Flying High again is like it's such a classic rock song with the it's the riff isn't too much, but it builds a really good foundation. And then I read somewhere that the way this song was created, it was almost like Ozzy singing about returning to a status of fame that he had not reached since Black Sabbath. I don't know 100% if that's true. It makes sense. The theory holds water, but it's one of those. It's a summer drive, windows down, crank it to 11.
Yeah,
we're flying high again. I don't know how you're going to be able to defend yourself for not having it that high, but I'll listen to your argument.
It is on the list, as you heard.
What was it, like 6 or 7?
Flying High Again was my number 6. I'm sorry, number 7.
Even worse.
But yeah, I mean, post Sabbath, Ozzy did go through a pretty depressing moment because
changes, if you will.
Changes, yeah. As he put all of his eggs in the basket in terms of music is going to be my life, and then suddenly he gets kicked out.
And I always thought he left.
No, he was fired. He was fired because of his I mean, the drinking, the antics, and everything like that. I mean, it was a problem.
Could you imagine telling your manager after, because then they hired a Dio.
Yeah.
And then they put out subpar music. I mean, Heaven and Hell is a decent song,
Heaven
but
and Hell is good.
it's nowhere near Ozzy. And then having to go to the manager or the record label and be like, yeah, we fired the one thing we had going for us. We couldn't deal with it. Man.
Well, the big question was whether or not Ozzy could do a solo, or if he was ever going, if he was going to stop right then and there. And luckily for all of us, he continued, and would write my number 2 at being No More Tears. I know you had it.
I had it at 6. So we've swapped our 2 and 6.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
That is, to me, my go-to song when I'm playing the bass right off the bat, the bass riff in the beginning. I did it last week, actually. Was just randomly playing it, just tuning up, and waiting for the rest of the band to get ready. I'll play that, and then we'll just kind of break into it just for a little bit. We can't play the whole thing. We're going to, because of this week. But yeah, that song was just so cool to me, and one of the very first, growing up in the 90s, I listened to mostly my sister's music. It was my only real exposure, and she listened to a lot of R&B and hip hop, and a lot of like dance music. So I mean, that was sort of exposed to that, and that's why I might have weird taste in music in that vein. But I remember listening to No More Tears and thinking that was such a like epic, cool song, and it goes to the different stages and then comes back and everything like that. Like the riff is just so cool. The chorus is still very, very memorable. And to me at the time of knowing that there was music out there known as metal that was real loud and aggressive, and that was not my mindset as a child then. Something about Ozzy's voice and just it was just a perfect amount of aggression and musicality that just really struck with me. So that's why I stuck it at number 2.
Here's the thing. I am never going to debate or push back on a choice that's rooted in deep emotion and a core memory, as some people would say. And I kind of figured with you not loving slower tempoed songs, I am surprised to see this this high. And I don't know if that was something that surprised you, or maybe you just had such a close relationship with this song that you didn't even think about it. It was boom, number 2.
Sometimes I mean, you're not too off in terms of the tempo, and my choices in tempo. I will take a awesome sounding riff over anything, and that's what to me Ozzy is about. Is how cool is the riff, and how is he going to sing over this thing?
Let's do this, because I don't know your number 1.
Okay,
but I've never been more curious in my life.
I would be so surprised.
I think what we should do is
say it at the same time.
We should say the same time. We should do a 3, 2, 1. Say it. And then, all right, ready? All right. 3, 2, 1.
Perry Mason. Perfect. We both agree. The best song
by
Ozzy is Perry Mason.
No.
Yes.
Good God.
Yes.
So Shot in the Dark's not even on your list.
No.
Why?
I just out of them all, again, like just the list. I have already explained myself. It's just not there. Like I like the song. It's fine.
I would be okay if it was like 5 or 10, but you're telling me Shot in the Dark is not even in your top 10.
I prefer the other songs.
Name them.
Okay, sure. Perry Mason won, and we'll rewatch
Oh
this
my
thing.
God.
Okay, so you
We were
explain to me.
doing so well.
Explain to me why you're wrong.
Explain to me why I'm right. So Shot in the Dark, it has this mystique of this powerful rock song. You have this intro that really sets it just sets the scene. It's a story. You've got great guitar solos. You've got great musicality. I would argue that the reason this is my number one is because it's not just a song, it's an experience. And then you bring in this bum 1950s detective named song. So just for full transparency with our listeners and our viewers, I had not heard of this song at all until about maybe 11 hours ago. I've never heard of this Perry Mason song. I tried to watch the music video and I got about 20 seconds in and I said, this song is booty juice. I don't know how to explain it.
You are so wrong.
It's not.
How right off the bat.
I'm still more offended than that. Almost said no more tears. I'm almost more offended that Shot in the Dark is not even in your list than me riffing about this song I never heard.
I knew that you probably won't even be the only person that is surprised that Perry Mason is on the list or high. I think that song is so amazing from the very beginning. From the very beginning of it all, just the hard dynamics of playing to the riff that goes into one thing I remember from listening to it for the very first time was that I was learning how to songwrite myself. I, would learn how to read music, through band and what have you, but never really dove into being creative myself in that. And somewhere along the lines, I heard this amazing song. And again, the very iconic voice that pierces through it all. But this was a song to me that was so cool in terms of the amazing riffs, the fact that the guy was a fan of just something else, a fan of this show or the book of Perry Mason, and decided to write about it and wrote a full song about it. The music doesn't even make sense with it, but there's something so cool about it that, like, to me, it was like, oh, I can do something like that. I love writing about, I've written songs about Stephen King's, movies and characters, the downfall of Anakin Skywalker and stuff like that. Like, it's because of this song that would change me into the songwriter that I am today. And that's why I knew that there's no reason why you would like this song as much as I do. But it just holds the nostalgia and the significance of my journey in music. And ultimately, to me, it's such a badass song, and but nobody knows it except when you go to that YouTube link and see the comments of all the people who are right.
I'm just checking the Powerball here. The estimated jackpot is $325 million. And if I won that tonight, I wouldn't be as shocked as I was whenever you pulled this no-name song, which you, by your own admission just now, said doesn't make sense. A little more context needed, but God, man.
It is what it is. And
we were doing so well. We were just doing banger after banger, and we were kind of like, oh, we've got some differences. And then here you Leroy Jenkins, your top pick here.
I can't help that you weren't as inspired as I was with Ozzy. Obviously, you're just not a fan. So please explain to me why "Shot in the Dark" is just such an amazing, iconic song that everyone should.
Iconic song.
Please.
That if you hear it, you immediately know, like, oh crap, "Shot in the Dark's playing." Everyone be quiet.
Said no one ever.
I don't think this is on any of the Guitar Hero games or Rock Band. I know Perry Mason is. I know for a fact. I'll quit my job today if you can find me Rock Band 1 or 2 or Guitar Hero and they put Perry Mason on it. I'm like 60% sure Shot in the Dark is somewhere.
There is a custom mode in which you can make it.
If Shot in the Dark isn't on there, Bark at the Moon definitely is. Because they never did the main ones. Yeah. They always you get on Guitar Hero 3 and be like, Mr. Crowley, like why isn't Crazy Train on here? But oh man. We're gonna have pitchforks and protesters and
where my Perry Masons at? You're out there.
They're not from here. Everybody who watched Perry Mason doesn't have an internet connection anymore.
It's not even the subject matter.
It doesn't matter. That's the first thing I think of when you're like, oh, hey, I'm writing this song called Perry Mason. And it's like, the detective?
And then you listen to it. You're like, okay, I got to watch this thing.
What is it about? Is it about Perry Mason solving crimes? Or is it just, I wrote a song about how much I love watching Perry Mason solve crimes? Not a bad impression, by the way.
It's pretty bad. The show is basically, I mean, it's one of the longest running and most successful like legal TV shows. And yeah, it was a book before as well. But the show kind of had a formula of like the first half, you meet a new client for Perry Mason, who's a lawyer, a criminal defense lawyer, and they, whatever scenario it is, somehow the client just ends up being framed for murder.
I was gonna say, isn't it like Suits where they're always like at the 3/4 of the show mark, they're always like, gosh, we're never gonna win this case if only like a smoking gun came out of nowhere, and then like.
Perry Mason was the beginning of that, and one of the very first hour-long shows in Hollywood. One of the very first, and that shows how good it was.
I would rather listen to Fran Drescher read 50 Shades of Grey than listen to Perry Mason,
dude,
and think that it's the top Ozzy song of all time.
Listen to it again, and you will know. You will see the creativity that goes into it. That even if you're not, you know nothing about Perry Mason, the character, the song in itself is so cool. I know what I'm talking about. My Perry Masons out there know what I'm talking about. I
feel like we need to end this before I end you. And I think God, Tony, we were doing so well.
And we still are. We still are. Perry Mason's the way to go.
Well, I'll put it this way. Not that it's a competition, because this is objective listening. I feel like my list was a lot better. Let us know in the comments. Tony, final thoughts.
Ozzy's going to be very, very missed. And his cultural significance from music to even the show. He was just a pioneer, and everyone just loved Ozzy. I thought it was so cool that with grunge coming out and really changing, the landscape of rock music at the time, that people still wanted to know what Ozzy was up to, and would put out some good ones and some bad ones, but everyone cared about what was going on with Ozzy. And if you haven't seen his last concert that he did at his hometown in Birmingham, the Back to the Beginning concert, you should definitely see it, because it is one of the greatest concerts ever. So yeah, that's all I've got to say.
I'll put it this way. The Beatles are clearly an English band. George Michael, clearly British. Elton John, we all know him as Sir John Elton. Ozzy is an American cultural staple, but yet he's not American. And I find that so interesting and intriguing that this guy from England could make such an impact on rock, heavy metal, pop culture, to where, we all know that he's English. We all are British or whatever.
I had no idea.
You had no idea.
I know.
But like, I feel like a lot of Americans claim him as like, being such a pivotal figure in music. I would argue he had much more commercial success here in America. I imagine he liked living in America. I don't have any quotes to support that, but he didn't really leave. That's the way I'll put it. It's one of those things where, like, when you think about the classic rock icons and building, this Americanized classic rock, you can't leave Ozzy out. But that's what it is. But we knew we had to talk about him. We hope you stick around for the number one. Good God. But we'll be back. Like I said, we're working on fine tuning some things to give you guys a better show, better product, better reviews, better opinions. And we'll start that as soon as we can. But like I said, once we heard about Ozzy, we knew we had to get on here and talk about him, even while we're currently under construction.
Yeah. And if you like this top ranking or list style, let us know, as we're kind of brainstorming of what to do next.
Yeah,
so.
Specifically, if you like Perry Mason, I want you to comment
Please
on this
do.
post, because I want to know who to not be friends with.
Let Parker know the truth. All right, it's our job as the Masons, the Perry Masons, to.
I'd rather listen to Perry the Platypus than Perry Mason.
Nah, man. You guys got to defend me like Perry would. All right? Defend me like Perry would. I know you're out there. All right. Well, for Parker Pageant, I'm Tony Wynn, and this has been The Vinyl Vault.